Hi, good evening and welcome to Minority Caucus. On this maiden edition, we will look at Volta in focus, the MPP legacy in perspective. On the 2nd of April, President John Dramani Mahama met with the chiefs and elders of the Anglo State in the Volta region. During the said meeting, the president submitted that his party, the NDC, is responsible for all the massive projects that the region has witnessed since the inception of the Fourth Republic. On today's first edition of Minority Caucus, we will be discussing Volta region and whether it is true that the NPP did no projects in the region as said by President Mahama. I have with me here the Volta Regional Chairman of the NPP. But before we begin this discussion, let's take a look at this video.
Diamond Cement Factory at Aplao was established 2 years ago to mitigate the perennial shortage of cement in the West African sub-region. This plant has also uplifted the economic development of the region by providing employment to the people. The factory uses clinker from neighboring Togo. The Indian owners of the factory also own the Tema Steel Works. The managing director of the factory, Mr. Motapati Prasad, said the factory employs the most modern cement technology which ensures friendly environment. President Kufuor advised the workers to work hard.
Diamond Cement provides linkages with other industries such as the Tema Steel Factory and paper packaging, from which it buys steel grinding media and packaging materials, cement paper bags. In addition to stimulating economic activities for transporters, it has introduced competition into the building and construction industry by providing a choice of cement. At this stage, I want to entreat the management of this company to endeavor to offer reasonable pricing for their cement, to provide even more incentive to the Ghanaian consumer.
Well, you are back on Minority Caucus, and this is our maiden edition in 2016. And I have with me the chairman of the NPP in the Volta region, Mr. John Peter Ameo. Mr. Ameo, you're welcome to Minority Caucus.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you.
In the last couple of days, your region has been in the headlines because President Mahama visited the southern part of the Volta region. The chiefs and people of the Anglo State, and was addressed at the Deba by Togbi Isri, the Awomafia of the Anglo State. At that event, the issues surrounding the development of the Volta region, vis-a-vis the voting pattern of the people of the Volta region, and also how much development governments have brought into the region over the years, came up as a topic for discussion. And I believe the chiefs presented a paper on what they wanted and as compared to what government had provided. But President Mahama is questioning the records of the MPP in the Volta region, saying that the MPP had done nothing and that his government is the government that had done a lot for the people of the Volta region. Is that assertion true?
Well, once again, let me thank you for this very interesting discussion. Yes, of course, the president did mention that his government did a lot for the region, and MPP eventually did nothing. That erroneously was submitted without any valid justification. In fact, Perry, wise, I don't want to call the president a liar, since such high office needs to be respected. We appeal to Ghanaians and all other people holding office of that nature to live by example as a result of the oath they take in office. What the president was doing was actually a propaganda. He was just trying to portray to the people of Volta region that, yes, of course, this is a region that is my World Bank. He said it. He went ahead to say this is my IMF. And so we are responsible for all development projects. This is a total lie. We don't expect president to come out and make such statement. NPP has done a lot for Volta region. Now, let me even start with this Eastern Corridor. There are two major roads leading to the northern part of Volta region. Number one is the Eastern Corridor, which runs through Howe. And then number two is the Pando Raura Dambai Road. The Pando Raura Dambai Road was started by President Kufuor. 78% of the road was completed before we left office, right down from Nkonya through Asukoko, heading towards Dambai. 78% of that portion of the road was completed before we left office.
As of 2008.
As of 2008. The other road, which is the major Eastern Corridor that they're talking about, NPP government was the first government to start working on the Eastern Corridor. Now, the section between Golokwati and Howe, that road was constructed in 1971. 1971. Since 1971, that portion of the road had never witnessed any upgrade. 71, of course, during
Professor Buzia's
administration. That portion hadn't seen any development until in 2002, when President Kufuor again cut sword for completion of that road. Actually, that section was construction and completion. We've completed that road. A part of that, the section between Pepesu and Jinji, again heading towards Nkwanta, was again, the sword was cut in 2002 by the late Vice President. That section was also completed. President Kufuor sourced the EU funding for the section that we call the missing link before we left office. That portion, of course, is now being done by the NDC administration. So for the president to come out and talk even about roads, major roads in Volta regions are all being done by NPP. Another major road leading to Volta region is the road right down from Temarana about to Aflau. Unfortunately, my good friend Perry, when the president, I was told that he flew. Because the last time he was coming to Howe, he flew. And so because he flew to Nkwanta, he couldn't see the status of the road. And that is why when he presented the State of the Nation address, he misled Ghanaians. So I gave him that.
But he drives on that road quite often.
No, that day.
He was at Hugbechocho in November last year.
No, well, of course he used the Aflau road. I'm talking of the Howe one. He flew up to Nkwanta. The road was in a bad state. But in his state of address, he said, we have done the Howe town roads. When we challenged the minister, mobilized his people to Howe. It was a humiliation. What did we see? The State of the Nation address that the president read out to Ghanaians when they were going to print that statement out, what the president said before the House of Representatives in this country, those portions were eliminated. And they are taking this country for a joke. President before a House of Parliament said, I have done this and that and that. When the statement was printed out to give to Ghanaians, that portion that he said he has done was taken out. And nobody queried the president.
And after the State of the Nation, usually after the State of the Nation, the statement is made available immediately. But after that State of the Nation, it took them about 3 to 4 days.
Precisely because, you see, it is an agenda. And that is why I said we don't want to call the president a liar, but that office needs to be respected. The NDC are so clever. They understand the behavior of Ghanaians. They know that, such things, nobody is going to hold them responsible. We should have questioned the president on that issue. The president can even be impeached by that attitude. The road from Temarana about, this time he didn't flew. Did he use?
He flew. Yeah, he flew to Qatar.
My goodness, what kind of president?
He flew on an Air Force aircraft.
I mean, okay, but even maybe I don't know the height, but you should be able to see. I mean, people should have told him.
Well, maybe.
Even if he
would
flew,
account for
even if he flew,
the loss of memory.
Precisely, you are right. But even if he flew, I was in Hogbojocho with His Excellency President John Mahama. He came. He drove on that road. The road the president drove on, he has forgotten who constructed that road. I mean, where are we heading towards in this country?
Well,
let me just take the president through quickly to some few projects that we do. I don't even want to concentrate in the northern sector.
Before we come to some of the projects that you will go through, you were a municipal chief executive also for the Hohoe municipality under the Kufuor administration.
Precisely.
And also dwelling on the State of the Nation address.
Precisely.
I believe there was some brouhaha even covered by Joy News in Hohoe after you exposed the president and the minister about the Hohoe town roads that they had claimed they had constructed.
You see, this president persistently continues to deceive Ghanaians. And you see, until we begin to match him wherever he goes and the things he says, because you see, as I stated earlier on, he knows the behavior of Ghanaians, especially MPP people, that these people, I can say anything and go out free with it. So the president said, yes, I have done Hohoe town roads. Right now after the State of the Nation address, the minister came on and I said, no, please, that is wrong. You didn't do that. I was the MCE. We have done the town roads. I was then the MCE, so the roads I've done, I knew what I'm talking about. The minister said, no, we have done the Peme, Blah, Bansi, and all the roads have been tied. I said, no. Maybe it is the minister that told the president that those things were completed. Mr. Minister, if you are right, let's go to Hohoe. He came to Hohoe. What did he see? He said, oh, there was some misinterpretation and misrepresentations of facts, and that we're going to award the road. What happens? A week after, that road is now under construction. And I'm saying that the people of Hohoe traditional area should say very big thanks to the people of MPP. We will do that road. We will do it because we will respect the people. They are doing that road because of shame. And even if the people will benefit from the road because of shame. And that is why they are doing it that. So this is a government that we have. A government of NDC that is constantly deceiving the people of this country. We need to put a stop to this.
Chairman, moving forward, you wanted to shed some light on some important projects that were done during President Kufuor's tenure in the Volta region.
Thank you, Perry. I don't want to talk about the Volta region. In fact, they have what they call the green books. We have also compiled projects that we've done against cost. We will challenge them, first of course, to come along with their cost, because we are putting cost against our project. The reason why we are able to do more projects in Volta region, it's simple, even though we don't have money. They have oil money. They have a lot of other resources coming in now, borrowing left and right without anybody's consent. Even without oil, we were able to do our project at a minimal cost. If you go to Dambai today, as I sit here, 3-story building, painted in the same color, constructed with the same mix of concrete, constructed with the same number of rooms, with the same, form and design. We constructed ours at 100,000 Ghana cedis. The NDC constructed the same building, 900,000. What it means is that if we have that 900,000, we could do nine more of those projects. Yeah. This basically explains the reasons why we are doing more than them. Because of corruption, escalation of project costs. I mean, they have no justification to tell us that the cement mix or the type of concrete they use is quite different from what we were using. If it's the same number of blocks, the same space of construction, why are they constructing it at a higher cost? It boils down to corruption. Chop, make a chop.
And most of these projects comes with the same kinds of ancillary
precisely. There is nothing different about that. I mean, this is what I'm telling you. The same
especially
design.
Especially when you talk about classroom blocks.
The same specification.
The plans are the same.
The same specification. The only difference is that it's been awarded. The process of awarding is different. We awarded ours under a competitive regime through the tendering process. And in any regime that there's a competition, it brings down price. The difference is that they award theirs under what they call the sole sourcing. Yeah. So the prices are very high. And that is why we keep on doing more. Look, within the Anglo Enclave, where the president went, I just want to take him through some of the projects that we did. Tema to Sogakope, as I stated earlier on, the same road the president traveled on to Aflau, Sogakope to Akachi, Sogakope to Adidome, Akachi to Aflau commenced even in 2008 before we left office. Joje to Akanu, tiring of Javier to Abo Road, Abo to Anyako Road, Abo Ohawu to Taje Road. Those are all Millennium Challenge Road. Kasu Junction to Kave, Kave to Alavi Road, Anglo Town Roads, Joje Town Roads, Aflao Hospital, Low Cost Market Road, Keta to Haveji Road. Name them, several road projects within that enclave alone. In 2003, because of the difficulties of teachers around the Kwakuve area. Number of teachers' quarters were commissioned to spare the teachers the daily trouble of traveling almost about 6 to 8 kilometers.
So we be able to get to school.
Precisely. And then what we did was that the construction and completion of Veta Senior High School was undertaken by the NPP administration. Establishments of nurses training at Keta Government Hospital. This was done by the late Kore Kwashiga. Who doesn't know of this fact? John Mahama was then in Parliament. He knew of this. He became a president. He couldn't have just forgotten this within this short period of time. Constructions of modern structures in the following: Dakba, Joje, St. Paul's, Kliko, Agbozume, Keta, Zion College, and Angolon. All these are variable facts that are there on the ground for anybody to walk in today and see.
And viewers,
the president has no eyes to see this.
As chairman speaks, on your screens you would find President Kufuor back in the day commissioning different projects in different parts of the Volta region.
Thank you, Perry.
He inspected a 6-classroom block funded from the HIPIC initiative.
Chairman, so you can
so
continue.
The projects, I mean, let's talk about the expansion of the Afife Senior High School. Construction and completion of over 30 primary and junior high classroom blocks in the southern zone. What we are seeing right now by President Kufuor, commissioning some of them. Don't forget the upgrading under President Kufuor regime. Some 20 senior high were supposed to be upgraded. Within
32 senior high schools were upgraded
within the Anglo Enclave, where President Mahama went. Unfortunately, he can't see this thing. We have the upgrading of the Joje Senior High, upgrading of Ovenu Senior High. Construction, this was a complete construction of Veta Technical Secondary School. This was done by RES. Massive infrastructure construction in Ho Polytechnic. What is the basis of upgrading Ho Polytechnic today to an university status?
Because of the transformational projects that the NPP administration put.
Precisely. As I speak to you today, I am a Ghanaian and I have taken an oath. I'm a chairman, oath at office. And I'm existing and I'm telling all Ghanaians today that NDC had not even put in Ho Poly 30 square meters of any construction project. NDC, they haven't done that. These are facts. You can go to Ho today and see. All the massive projects that are in Ho Poly were done by the NPP administration. And this was the rationale why today the NDC have to come and say we are upgrading it to the university status. I mean, these are things that we need to admit. These are facts. Under the NPP, Keta and Ketu South, you know, they were then all districts. They were elevated to municipal status. And as I speak today, they are all benefiting from the municipal and urban road project. Don't forget the magnificent, huge Keta Sea defense project, almost about 80 to 90 million, dollars. President Kufuor spoke about this. The housing project, we did all this. And so I see no reason why the NDC will come out
the irony of all of this is that for the Keta Sea defense project, for instance, by 1999 to 2000, the investment in the project could not be found. The project had stalled, and people like Honorable Kwamina Bartels were the ones who led the crusade of how to revive the Keta Sea defense project. I went to Keta Secondary School.
Precisely.
I remember for several years, barbed wire was piled in front of the nurses' quarters, just a few blocks away from the municipal assembly building. Those metal mesh were left there for years and rain year after year. And everybody would point to that and say, this is the metal mesh that was going to be used for the Keta Sea defense.
Yeah.
But until the inception of the Kufuor administration, the Keta Sea defense had not really seen light of day.
No, you are perfectly right. That is why His Excellency President Ajekun Kufuor was hurt by the fact that we did nothing. Because even before he started the project, the NDC then had made an attempt of getting some money.
Yeah.
The question is, where is that money?
Yeah.
Nobody knew where the money gone to. until President Kufuor came in and looked for this money for the continuation of this project.
In those days, travel between Keta through Keji towards Aflao, which was just a 30-minute drive. You would have to go by canoe and then you go join this Nissan Patrol old vehicles that were driving in the
what
sun.
Are we seeing? I wish we have videos here
of
to show
those things, yes.
What today you just drive.
Today you drive on a highway
and you go
go on top of the water, and in 20-15 minutes
precisely you are there. Very nice design, the area, very beautiful area. A lot of land have been claimed for the benefit of our good people from.
Chairman, also before you go on, as we began, we saw a clip of President Kufuor commissioning the diamond cement factory. It is true that it is a private initiative, but it is also true that it took a government to create the enabling environment for a private company, to make that amount of investment in that part of the region, and for that matter, that part of the country, due to the fact that GASEM had been the major company that had produced cement in this country for so many years.
Yeah, you're right. Don't forget, under President Kufuor, one of the driving force for MPP then was to open up the region, the country as a whole, to investors. We were then described as a gateway to Africa.
Chairman,
because of
we'll take a break. Okay. Welcome back to the maiden edition of Minority Caucus, and I have with me Mr. Peter John Amewu, Volta Regional Chairman of the NPP. Viewers can join the discussion via our social media platforms, facebook.com/joinis-on-TV, on WhatsApp 0560 800 000. Your comments will be read on this show. Chairman, so like you were saying, the chiefs themselves, even before you go on, the chiefs themselves, led by Togbi Sri, sought to engage in that interaction with the president, and sought to posit that though the president claimed he was responsible for all the development projects that had come to the region, there was a certain disconnect between the creation of jobs and stopping the rural-urban migration from the region to bigger cities. And they sought to demand from the president that they needed projects like the diamond cement factory, for instance. They needed projects that will give jobs to our teeming youth. They needed projects that will give jobs and for our young people to also be able to fend for themselves and take care of their families. Like I said before, the NPP government created an environment for private investment, and an example is the video we saw earlier by Diamond Cement. Do you agree with the chiefs and people of Anglo that there is a certain disconnect currently between our development and job creation? Precisely,
I agree with the people. If you listen carefully to the chiefs and elders from Anglo State, their current desperations about this government is a result of past experiences. Number one, what do they say? They said this discussion with the Awamefia is supposed to be interactive.
Yeah.
And they want to be,
they want to be as
frank and open as possible.
Yeah.
And their major concern was a job employment. Projects that the NDC claim they have done are not creating any job. And so they said what the people have resorted to what? Stealing, smoking, and all those kind of, those were the words they used. Social vices, because the people don't have this job at hand. So yes, why would the chief and people come out to do these things? Because they have done certain comparison. The comparison basically was the 8 years of NPP and then the 8 years of the NDC. Under the NPP, of course, most of the projects that we brought in were directed towards the private sector. Private sector growth, private sector participation, growth in employment, growth in the GDP. These were the driving agenda of President Kufuor, and then Ghana was therefore called the gateway to Africa. The gateway to Africa cannot be through government intervention. Any government that wants to hold on all projects, development projects, within a certain environment, ring-fence the development project, are governments for corruption, because those projects come to you and you embezzle them. The governments that are open to the private sector are open to the whole world for development. So the difference between the NPP and the NDC is that the private sector agenda that we pursue, which lead to the job creation and the growth in the GDP, eventually those are the things that are missing. So yes, there's a misconnect between the projects the NDC are claiming they have done that are not creating jobs for the people. That don't forget about the Afipe irrigation project that was initiated by Corey Koshiga. And the intention was to create jobs.
Yeah. And also the Aveime project that Juliet Cotton took our $20 million
precisely
and ran away to America.
These were all an attention to create jobs for the people.
Yeah.
If you continue paying judgment debts, I don't know how judgment debt can create jobs for people. Maybe, well, maybe it can create jobs if you are in a party and there's a judgment job, being paid. The party people may get a job, and I mean,
Woyome comes from Dabala.
He comes from Dabala. He gets judgment debt, and he constructs a big building in his hometown. Some party activists will go and work. But that is not job creation.
Family compound.
Yes, some party people will go and work, carry blocks to construct that. That is not job creation.
That building is still not completed.
Well, because the money is no longer there. Where's the money now? They're asking him to bring the money. He is also saying, well, some people have chopped the money. If I want to come up. Please, this is a serious issue. We as a country need to be very serious. So the difference basically is that our target for job creation was because we opened the platform for private sector participation. And that is why Ghanaians benefited so much under the MPP. That is a secret. There's nothing about that. Most of the jobs creation that we've done in the Volta region, when I was the MCE in Hawaii, we became the first municipal and district assembly, not in Ghana, in Africa, to become a member of International World Tourism Organization. The late Jake. Yes. He was there to inaugurate, our entry that time. The tourism that we brought into Volta region was through social intervention. There were a lot of job creations because of the tourism drive. Because in Volta region, the northern part, right down from where we're up, the opportunity for ecotourism was so huge. How do we tap that? That was what we did. When the NDC came, what happened? I quite remember Joy FM then were hosting the banner of Hokwe tourism. I think you guys have forgotten. We were paying mentally. Hokwe banner, Hokwe tourism was on the Joy FM.
My Joy Online.
My Joy Online. And tourists were just trooping down to the area as some. Today, everything is destroyed by the NDC government. And so how do you create job for people when you are destroying, the framework that brings
it cannot be the fault of President Mahama and his government. If you have a government that, for instance, creates a certain environment for tourists to be able to get on the plane, come to Ghana, look for tourist destinations, to go out there and spend their money. Yesterday on Majority Caucus, I heard government officials claim that because the Kufuor administration had put in a photograph of some tourist sites that had monkeys hanging on trees, meant that the Kufuor administration had not done anything and therefore was using monkeys as an achievement, forgetting that there was investment in tourism and you generate revenue and foreign exchange as well as foreign direct investment from tourism. Yeah. So if this is the understanding of the people who are governing us, then we have a problem.
Yeah, Perry, in fact, you are making a very, very good point. You see, when we come to tourism, that is another critical area. One thing we forget, especially in Africa, is that we tend to concentrate on natural resources. And tourism should be a major driver in terms of economic growth across the world. But we are forgetting about it. Under President Kufuor, we made so much gain under tourism. This tourism development fund that is created today in Ghana was initiated under President Kufuor. It was initiated by President Kufuor with assistance from JICA. Okay? But this government has nothing to show even when it comes to tourism. Today, the Tourism Development Fund, that 1%, is what the First Lady is using, flying around the whole of this country, gathering women and talking to them. What is that? Clear evidence of corruption. Is that what the Tourism Development Fund is supposed to be used for? Is that what it's supposed to be used for, bringing Queen mothers together, you know, and giving them money? It is the Tourism Development Fund that is using for those projects. These things are called for. Ghanaians must stand against some of these misinterpretations of our resources.
Well, Chairman, let's take some contribution from our viewers as well. And it will amaze you that as we speak, some of our viewers are beginning to send us photographs of some of the various projects that we have in the Volta region that were done under the Kufuor administration.
Yeah, these are just few of them. I mean, as I was talking about, if you go to Dambai, for instance, the whole market was contracted by the MPP, and that market is a very vibrant market today.
And this one says whole Polytechnic auditorium and lecture halls respectively, and those were the pictures that he had sent earlier. And he says, "Hi Perry, I would like to suggest that you show more pictorial evidence of the things President Kufuor did. The Sea Defense Project, the Haveji Keta Road, the water project at Kliko, which serves Adina, Amutinu, Agaveji, Blekusu, and Hovi communities. The whole Polytechnic auditorium and lecture halls," and he continues to send
St. Francis
more.
Training College auditorium.
And this
very
is coming
big one,
from
you know?
Richard Billy in Ho. This one also says, "Good evening, Mr. Perry. I thank Honorable Amewu for this insight from the Volta region, but shouldn't forget Dambai market infrastructure." I believe he just intimated that. This also says, Mr. Peter Amewu should stop telling Ghanaians lies. I don't think we are telling lies on this platform. We are showing you pictorial evidence of the things that President Kufuor did under his tenure for the people of the Volta region. This one also says, these are the facts that we need in a country that is bedeviled with lies and deceit. An Anado leadership will ensure prudent management of our state resources. And this is from Castro in Bolga. Chairman, let's also look at some of the social intervention programs. During the 8 years of the Kufuor administration, we saw, though, a government of capitalist leaning, a government that believed in private sector and business and free markets. We saw that government also wants to cushion people down the social ladder. And we saw a lot of social interventionist programs like the National Health Insurance Scheme. We saw investments in LEAP. We saw investments in the school feeding program. We saw investments in the Metro Mass Transit as well. Did the Volta region benefit from these projects? Because if the president seeks to say that the Kufuor administration didn't do anything for the people of the Volta region, are these not national projects that went into the nook and cranny of this country?
Well, again, that is why I said our president, sometimes the people who advise him will need to be extremely careful. But again, sometimes I always say that the president normally, when he travels, he used to have a wet dream about some of the things he intends to do and thinking that he has done them. This social intervention project was a project across the whole country. Volta region is part of Ghana.
Exactly.
And so we benefited. All people in Volta region benefited from this social intervention project. The LEAP, the capitation grant, the school feeding, project, free mass transportation for school children, the programs for pregnant women, all these,
the free maternal
care. They were all programs that people from Volta region benefited. You see, what the NDC again forget to do today, what do we see? Those projects have all been collapsed. Huge intervention of social intervention projects are trigger for growth. The NDC is not aware. Why? Because it takes out a lot of burden from the private sector in terms of their output. And what happens is that it triggers growth. You will see it's very insignificant, but it plays a lot. And that is why under the MPP, You know, our women were free. Because the little money they will have to use to cook for the children, that money goes back to their pocket.
Exactly, because when they went to school,
there is
got
a food
access
there,
to a hot meal.
Precisely, and enrollment eventually increases. Children that have to pay for transportation by using the mass transport,
got
that
on
money
the bus to
got
go
on the
to
bus
get to school.
Free. So all this are again monies that will be accumulated, you know, by families. So what happened is that the household income eventually increases as a result of social intervention. We have done all this. What do we witness today? Those projects are all being collapsed. They've been collapsed basically of one reason: corruption. There is no reason why we should not be witnessing massive intervention of those projects under the NDC.
And this is supposed to be a socialist.
This is supposed to be a socialist.
A social democratic government.
Precisely.
That has rather collapsed social intervention.
Well, they look at social intervention as something for families, chronics. The NDC understanding of social intervention is for me and my chronics. That's exactly what they're doing now.
So it's a family and
friends.
It's a family
government. And friends, you know, government. That is exactly what is happening. Otherwise, why under a country where we have seen oil revenue for the first time in this country, over $4 billion of injection in terms of our participation from the oil revenue. What did we use it for? Painting of buses. Oil money to paint buses and put your picture on it.
Black and white photographs on buses for over 30,000.
Do you know
per bus?
Do you know if you go and brand those buses from a private sector, do you know how much you can make in a month? Not less than 50,000 Ghana cedis, just on monthly rent. And there are over 100 of those buses. If you give it out to the private sector for adverts, we would have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But again, this is how they understand social intervention. Chronics, let's do something for ourselves. Few of us will enjoy at the benefit of Ghanaians, because the Ghanaians, of course, will forget about this is within a short period. We can't keep on ruling a country in that manner.
Chairman, you have some background as well in the oil sector. One of the biggest dreams of our people, especially within the Anglo traditional area, is that there are deposits of crude oil along the coast of Keta. Some work has gone into how we can be able to maximize the potential of that project. Apart from that, the chiefs are asking for a harbor. They are asking for irrigation facilities in order for them, because you know that our people are mainly peasant farmers. Their trade is in shallot farming, especially along the coastline from Keta all the way to Anyangui before you get into Adan. They are shallot farmers, they are tomato farmers, and even with the small scale water pump kind of irrigation that they do, you can see the potential. Precisely. Our chiefs are asking for these sorts of intervention. What do you think about this?
I think the chiefs are right. For me, number one, I get worried about the delay, for instance, in the exploration and production of these resources from the Keta Basin, because the basin is already being identified as very prospective in the sense that they are deposit. But you see, finding oil is not a matter of going to the area or the land and continue to look for oil. It's not done that way. You find your oil in the room. So in the room, with the drawings and everything, you know where the oil is. When you go down there, you only hit and you hit the oil. That's exactly what President Kufuor did. President Kufuor took his time and find where the oil was. So the oil was located while he was in the room. So they knew where they were. And when these companies came, what did they do? They just hit the place and got the oil. The delay of this government is, again, number one, GNPC has become a cash cow for the government. Most of the resources that we see going to the GNPC, government pass behind and take some of this money. So GNPC has less capital intervention to speed up the acceleration of that project. I promise Ghanaians, that President, Nana Addo, we will accelerate development and production of the oil in the Keta Basin.
Okay.
I'm not trying to discourage our people from Keta. Under this government, they cannot do it because they haven't done it before. Experience is the best teacher. And I promise, MPP government will come and do that. Okay,
Chairman, we'll take some messages from our viewers. This one says, Mahama has taken Ghanaians for granted as well as making mockery of Rotarians with his incompetence. Expose him for Ghanaians to see his lies. And that one has no name. This one says the government of Ghana has brought the image of Ghana so low. Perry, you guys are really in line with today's topic, setting the record straight. The government of Ghana has brought the image of Ghana too low. And this is coming from M.O.B. Abofor. This one says, thank you, Perry and Chair. Just my hometown, Georgia only. Josek Assembly Hall. Josek Girls Dormitory. Fiagbedu 6-unit classroom block. And the saying, Georgia Nyo Chimelewo. That is, Georgia is good, but now. Okay. I get what he means. He's saying Georgia Nyo Chimelio. Okay, meaning Georgia is good, but no water. Honorable Kofi Jamesi ends that saying by bringing water to Georgia. This is from Don Erosion from Georgia. This one says, tell Felix Ofosu-Kwakye that government is accounting to anyone but their own pocket. Why is a gentleman lying this way? November 7th is loading. Ask him what happens to teachers' validation exercise. This is from Steve in Obuasi. This one says, NDC is claiming that they have increased the number of people on the National Health Insurance Scheme. NDC is claiming that they have increased the number of people on National Health, but of what importance is that if it's not accessible? Yeah. This is from Amandi Saddam in Boku.
Yeah, Perry, let me coming back to this accounting to the people. Let me just ask this question. How do you account without figures or numbers?
After borrowing so much money.
They have done a nice booklet of projects that they've done. Why are they not able to put the cost of those projects for us to see? If you are talking about accounting to people, if you are accounting, you must account to figures.
The accounting is true propaganda.
The accounting is done but through what?
Seven, let's take also some messages from our viewers on Facebook. Brighter Sari says, in fact, I am disappointed in President Mahama saying MPP did nothing for the people of the Volta region. For all you know, even all the roads in the whole township was constructed by the MPP. I was in the Volta region as a teacher by then. Voltarians should grow up and appreciate what the MPP offered to them. Mahama was merely doing propaganda politics. From Bright K in Reggio Emilia, Italy. Wow. This is from Osikeni Kojo. President, who can lie like this is ruling us with liars. Nothing seems to be working. Too much taxes, high utilities, and that's from Osikeni Kojo. Isaac Kameni Akwete says, kudos to Mr. John Peter Amewu for reacting so swiftly to the president's lies he went to tell in Anglon with the speed of light. However, I pray all former functionaries of Kufuor's regime stop waiting for Mahama to lie before they come out to react. Natoma Mahamudu says, what the president said was mischievous and a comic relief, period. And it's high time Ghanaians stood against this family and friends government. James Senanu says, I think the president should just come out and apologize for the comment. He's far above that. Awuni Lord Anthony says, you guys are just fantastic. Expose NDC better more. Well, Chairman, we're inching towards a major election on November 7th. What are your plans as regional chairman, and on the back of the lies that the president and his government continue to tell, especially to the people of the Volta region? And you also note that Togo Isri, in his statement to the president in Keta, also talked about the fact that the Volta region had gained a certain accolade of a World Bank, and that if you put money in a bank, you expect returns.
You need good returns.
And it is looking like this bank of ours, as in those of us from that part of the country, seem to be investing and putting money in a bank and yet not gaining interest.
Precisely, I think the chiefs from Anglo are right, because if you're making an investment, you need higher dividend in terms of the payouts. But what are we seeing in Volta region? It's different. So the region is becoming well held, I mean, than the banks that the President Mahama thinks. But you see, for me, I'm extremely excited because of the level of desperations of the president. His quick visit to the Volta region has really demonstrated that he knows there's something happening. Over the 3 weeks ago, he has been to the region 3 times already. He was in Ho, he was in the Pando area, trying to do keep fit exercise to evaluate his level of acceptance. That has been rejected by the people. The president doing a keep fit, well, it's good. In a very healthy mind, you know, the body will be fit to undertake certain exercises. But you see, that's not the case. The president needs to demonstrate beyond those things that the region is a region he has at. I don't even want to go and talk about appointments. You know, those are his prerogative to do. Who are the Voltarians now in government? One Voltarian is sacked, another person, I expect another Voltarian to be brought. But I don't want to agitate the mind of the people from Volta region with that. This is a region that has contributed over 90% of the votes to NPP, NDC in the previous elections. I'm telling the NDC that this time things are going to change. Because number one, the antidote of stealing, bringing in people from Togo, that is not going to work. That will not work under this new regime that we have. We will not allow that to work. The chiefs of Togo and the people from Togo themselves have complained severally. You know what they are saying? They said now their jobs are not even any longer functioning. They are losing. Chairman. So I want to assure the people of the Volta regions that under NPP or under President Nanado, we will construct. We will do that. Volta region. But then Nanado, President, Keta Habo Maul, Fiagao Biabo, or Naya, Yao Keta Habo Maul. I invest heavily in agriculture because agriculture and nana the view kwana a dog play tomao a ho koya pla umoma a mokata akakavla mogle magato zomoma jiu and nana do a moma mi ajra moma do kaba eleveve na mi diga eastern corridor ya do kolo blem. The eastern corridor will never ever be completed under this regime. I said it 4 years ago. They are not doing anything. The strength is done between Asikuma and Pekka. It's just a toy, it's a joke.
Our time is up. Miabo Gamad, ta Miako Gba, Enyamojojuro, Ava, and Akpekaka, Nateremiangu, Akpe. Viewers, we've come to the end of the maiden edition of Minority Caucus on Joy News TV, on Multi TV. Join us again next week, Thursday. Good night.